get them out of there. If there wasn't an obvious or sneaky route, they probably had to kill the damn thing. Jacoby's fireballs only seemed to make the ghoul mad, and he was pretty sure none of the rest of them could get close enough to stab it without getting ripped apart. So that left him. Maybe he was looking at this all wrong. The goddess Eternia had given him a quest to eliminate an outbreak of wraiths before their attacks could destabilize Promethia. While a ghoul wasn't a wraith, they were both undead monsters touched by darkness, so maybe his newest spell would work. Looking back on it, the group had been overconfident because of how Tim handled the wraiths at Cardinal Jepsum's ceremony. They'd walked into the little cottage expecting to find one of the wraiths nesting. Cassie was going to distract it while Tim took it down. It was a simple plan. Sometimes even the simplest of plans can go catastrophically wrong. Their plan took a turn for the worst when one of the interior walls exploded in a shower of wooden shrapnel. Gaston was the only one who managed to stay on his feet, and without his help, they wouldn't have made it to the bathroom they were trapped in now. They would have been dead. Time seemed to slow as an eerie sense of calm settled over his mind. Tim didn't know how to control it, but every now and then, he found himself in what he liked to think of as the zone. His mind was homing in on an answer to their problem. A grin spread across his face before he could stop it. When he turned toward his tank, Tim saw the look of worry on her face, but he had just the right words to calm her down. "I've got an idea." "Oh, shit! He's got that look in his eyes." Jacoby started to grin. "This is when things get interesting." Gaston nudged Shadow Lily out of the way, putting his bulky frame against the door as it groaned in protest. "Don't do anything too crazy. I've only got the one life." Tim nodded at the assassin. What was once considered insanity was often proved correct as science progressed. The world wasn't flat, and the Earth orbited the sun, but sometimes you still had to take a leap of faith. While a scientist in a lab couldn't take a leap if they wanted their work to be published, Tim had no such qualms about rolling the dice. "Cassie, when I tell you, I want you to let the ghoul in." Tim tried to reassure her with his smile. "Fuck that!" Cassie shouted. "If it gets in here, we're all dead." "That door isn't going to last forever," Tim implored. "Just trust me." Tim didn't wait for a response. Instead, he turned toward Jacoby. "After I hit it with weaken undead, I need you to cast your flame shield to hold it back. After that, we both hit it with everything we've got." The ball of flame Jacoby had been juggling winked out of existence, and he focused on the door. "I'm ready." Tim pointed at Cassie and gave her the slightest of nods. "I changed my mind. We go when you're ready." His fingers started working through the motions of his weaken undead spell. "I still think this is a shitty plan." Cassie motioned for Shadow Lily to get clear as the ghoul hit the door again. "I don't want to die in a bathroom." Jacoby snorted. "Elvis died in the bathroom. If it's good enough for the king, it's good enough for me." Gaston moved away from the door and stood under the small window. He looked at it furtively. "You think I can fit?" Cassie smiled at the assassin. "You'll only get stuck if you try to squeeze those big, beautiful shoulders through there." The glare he gave Cassie bounced off her as harmlessly as a raindrop. "Hey, it's not my fault you're all big and muscly. No one ever talks about my shoulders that way." Tim pretended to be hurt as he spared a quick glance at Shadow Lily. One of Shadow Lily's eyebrows quirked up. "That's because your shoulders aren't your best asset." "Ouch!" Tim put a hand over his heart. Jacoby started to laugh. "That was just cold." "She did imply that I had a best asset." Tim was smiling again. "I don't like it when people fish for compliments," Shadow Lily huffed. "But if he gets us out of here, I might just tell him which of his assets I like best." "Gross! You two make me want to barf sometimes," Cassie grumbled. Tim held up a hand to stop everyone from talking. "Cassie's vomiting potential aside, I'd like to hear more from Shadow Lily." Gaston growled. "Don't we have more important things to worry about?" Shadow Lily just winked at him. "How do you know I wasn't just using sex as a motivator when I was really talking about his brilliant mind?" "But the other day you were going on and on about—" The door behind Cassie shattered. The tank managed to whip her bowstaff around in time to avoid the ghoul's claws. Planting a foot on the monster's chest, she threw herself backward.